Alrighty, welcome everybody to a quick and dirty setup guide for how to defeat Plantera in Master Mode for the worthy relatively easily, without, well, too much player skill at least involved. Just a bit of setup time. And it's not even that much. Alrighty, as you might be able to see, I have 10 times enemy spawn. This is basically just to demonstrate here that in order for us to prevent bats and turtles and other things flinging up from the jungle, I just make a simple wooden line, or just any material really, across the entire jungle surface. You can build this a bit higher, a bit lower. It's just up to you really. And alright, let me reset this real quick just so we despawn the enemies. This is just to demonstrate once we are up there, nothing really can happen to you anymore. Then we have the bat here. This is actually kind of important. I set up a spawn point so I can just recall back here in order to actually get the entire fight started. In here we have a little rail, and this is kind of important, with a teleporter just below it and a switch behind it that I click at the appropriate time. You'll see in just a second. And also worth noting, I have a bit of a wall here, so I'm gonna be approximately above the center of the teleporter. It's not that important to be exactly centered. It should be enough leeway that if you forget, it's not a big deal. Either way, one big line across the jungle surface. It doesn't really matter too much where. Then, the way I built this is I have a total of 40 tiles, or blocks I suppose, off of the ground of my line across the jungle surface. And that serves two purposes. One, we kind of know where Plantera's feet and hooks are going to be. And two, enemies form below can not hit you, as well as the bouncy balls that Plantera shoots out are not going to reach us up here. Then, quick and dirty setup guide. So in the center here, we have a quarter-second timer. And that timer is going to activate whenever we step into these player sensor above thingies. If you don't know a logic sensor, player above, they can be placed anywhere in the air, wherever you want, and they basically just activate, and also when you leave the field, deactivate things again. So you basically just kind of want to keep that in mind. So we have the 3 tiles of rail below, then we have the platform, and then we have the teleporter. Also, very important, the teleporters are actuated. The reason for this is, none of these objects here that we have can Plantera hook onto with its hooks. If we didn't actuate the teleporters, Plantera could actually just latch onto the teleporters and we would be in trouble. This actually, I learned from Dactem watching one of their more recent videos. I didn't even realize you could actuate teleporters, but that was kind of, well, solve the puzzle, let's put it this way. So the wiring is quite simple. This red wire here goes through the quarter-second teleporter as well as the player sensor above, which is right next to the rails. This seems to be a decent timing. It doesn't need to be exactly here, it can be left or right, it doesn't matter. It is wide enough that you should always activate it as soon as you fall up from above. And this is kind of more or less the entire purpose of this. So, when you are in a minecart, you actually fall through platforms, as you can see right there. You just straight up fall through platforms, and that's important because what we want to have happen is we want to have a consistent falling speed. So, we have this teleporter here, with its switch going to this teleporter up here, and I just built it extra wide around so it doesn't get visually in the way, let's put it this way. And you just do a different color from this teleporter to this one, and from this teleporter to this one. And that's kind of more or less the entire setup. So let me disable the mechanical display real quick. This is all how it looks. Then I just have a rope here. This is just for adjustment of height and safety in phase 2 for Plantera. Righty, let's try and find a Plantera bulb. I keep just the enemy spawn disabled, but you will want to probably just have a reasonably safe passageway. Not all the way to the surface though, it's not necessary in fact. So, my bet is about just over 100 units above the surface, so I would recommend using a depth meter for this, but about 200 units, you can easily teleport up to 250. Sometimes it even works with 300. And Plantera will not despawn. Plantera takes an entire 12 seconds off screen for it to despawn. So what I recommend is basically find a Plantera bulb, and then you go to approximately your height where that is just in reach. As you can see, you have quite a bit of leeway because Plantera's movement speeds up dramatically as soon as you are above 0, 0 surface. So let's get this going. So the biggest danger of this here is if Plantera spawns right above me, I want to immediately recall potion back to my bed. If Plantera spawns exactly below me, then I might be a little bit in trouble because of the seeds being able to shoot at me. So you may want to make a slightly sideways tunnel. Let's just see. Alright, Plantera spawns over there. And I'm going to just buff up real quick. And Plantera, I just want to have Plantera on screen right around here. That's about 200 units below my bed. And then we hop onto the rail and wait here. As you can see, Plantera comes up with a terrifying speed. And as soon as we see the Plantera head, we will just activate the switch. And then we start falling infinitely in this little circle. By the way, just kind of to demonstrate real quick, I do not have God mode active. Sometimes Plantera comes kind of scary close to one side. It kind of depends a little bit on the terrain of the jungle below you. But this is kind of mostly it. And then you can start dealing damage. So this is basically all that's gonna be happening during phase 1. I have yet to see it once Plantera starts shooting the spiky balls. I have yet to see Plantera being able to hit me with one of the spiky balls. Very rarely I do get hit by something on the side, but in this case I'm actually using the hollowed armor with just a fall damage accessory, in this case the balloon. And don't really need anything else. The hollowed armor allows you to just kind of survive one hit, because here's the thing, above the surface, or basically outside the underground jungle if you will, Plantera enrages and deals ridiculous damage if you ever get hit by one of the hooks, especially, or one of the little snappy mouse in phase 2. So you want to avoid that at all cost. Also, on top of that, this is not a particularly, well, great strategy if you are going for speed necessarily, because Plantera also has increased defense while enraged. I'm using a Tsunami bow from Fishron without any modifiers, it's just Tsunami. If you have some good accessories to deal more damage, or other weaponries that can deal decent damage, you're going to be mostly fine anyways. Maybe if you're looking for Fishron weapons before Plantera, I have a very easy teleport setup as well, where all you need to do is hold down left click and just occasionally right click. Works with teleporters too. Either way, we are nearing phase 2 of Plantera, and you kind of want to take note of that, because as soon as Plantera is entering phase 2, you want to unmount. So basically right now I'm sitting in a minecart, that is why I dropped through the platforms. That is kind of the important part about it. Which, by the way, the little rails below the minecart with this specific setup are not technically necessary. Alright, unmount the minecart. Pop the Inferno Potion. I should have probably mentioned that. I'm going to use an Inferno Potion for this. And then we see Plantera down here. The Inferno Potion is very useful, but not technically required, because Plantera occasionally shoots these little sproutlings that can hit you there. Now, I'm basically sitting on the rope here, because you want to have a little bit of wiggle room up and down, because Plantera's movement can be very erratic. Sometimes Plantera is just a bit further off screen, sometimes a bit further on screen. It is a bit awkward. But the rope allows you to just easily adjust up and down. You can also use a flying mount that works just as well. Alternatively, you could just use more sets of platforms. So, and the biggest danger during phase 2 are these little mouths, these little snappy things. You want to stay away from these at all cost. because they hit like a truck. The inverted potion basically helps you not having to worry at all about these little projectiles that Plantera shoots once in a while. They were just automatically dead. So the lower the main body of Plantera gets, as well as the lower the little tentacle mouths get, the further away they extend from Plantera. Also, you have an entire 12 seconds until Plantera despawns, so don't worry too much about Plantera despawning, because sometimes Plantera tries to be sneaky and just goes down for a while and then snaps up to you with one of the wiggly mouths. Especially in later, like lower health regions, that can be an issue. Alright, you just want to have Plantera a little bit on the screen once every, I don't know, 5 to 6 seconds, and there is one of these. In these cases, I like to just try and focus one of these little mouths in order to make sure that I don't get hit by them. I do still have the hollowed armor buff, so if you use some other armor, you also should not get hit as long as you play it properly, but, you know, maybe everything requires a little bit of practice. And there's one of these things again. If you use like a summoner setup with whipping, it's way easier to hit these little wiggly mouths, so to speak. But this is just kind of for ease of use, and so I can just talk to you while I'm doing this. So this is more or less the entire setup for Plantera. If you'd like to have a more complete guide on how to build the entire thing, I can make that too. Also, I just got hit right there. This is why it's nice to have the hollow set armor, which is basically what I use more or less all the way until the very end. It's really good in the higher difficulties for Master Mode and for the Worthy, where everything 1 or 2 shots you anyways. Basically, it's the highest damage prevention you can get. Alright, that's it. Thank you for watching and good luck.